My name is Galena. I'm the fiance of Joshua Lee McCollister, who was murdered on July 8th by Deunn Willis and robbed by Danielle Durand. I wanted to talk about the butterfly effect of what happened at that preliminary hearing, or failed, postponed preliminary hearing that happened on the 28th. I really did not anticipate what I saw at that courthouse. It was very hard on me. I knew that Josh's killers' families were going to be there. Of course I did. And I didn't hold that against them. That's their loved ones. They want to support them. I get that. I especially get it because they probably don't have the information that I do. See, the reason that I know what happened to Josh is because I spoke to people who were there when Josh was murdered. I know what his last words were. I know everything that he did, and their description matched everything I knew about him as a person. I know what happened. And I'm willing to bet that Deunn Willis and Danielle Durand haven't told their families what they did. I'm willing to bet that they probably lied to them, because what they did was so disgusting, so heinous, and so completely unnecessary. You know, they had every opportunity to not do any of this. I think unnecessary was even the word that the prosecutor used. They didn't have to do this. They chose to. But I knew the families were going to be there, and I had no unkind thoughts towards any of them. This wasn't their fault. They didn't do this. They didn't shoot him. They didn't rob him. They didn't do what was done to the other people that were there, that survived. This wasn't their fault. I was vulnerable, having to figure out what courtroom to go to in that courthouse, where I was going to see the people that murdered my fiance, that stole our entire future. But I was trying to be tough. I really was. I knew that I was going to have to be tough, because I knew that Danielle Durand was going to walk right out of that courthouse, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. That this person, who was one of the last faces that my fiance saw, was just going to walk right out. My fiance was such a loving person. He was so kind. Like his mother has said, and I've said so many times, like if he had met these people under other circumstances, they would have seen that he was the type of person who would have given them literally the shoes off his feet if they needed them. He was generous and kind to everybody that knew him. He was so sweet. They would have known that if they'd actually known him before they killed him. But I was going to have to be tough to watch that person walk out that did this horrible thing. But I was resolved. And then I saw what I saw in the hallway outside the courtroom, and it broke me. It completely broke me, because there the families were, and I saw people smiling. I saw people actually laugh on multiple occasions. Like, I anticipated these people would be nervous, especially since my photograph was published in the article about Josh. I figured somebody might recognize me. I figured it would be somber, like going to a funeral. This is not a happy event. And the attitudes I saw from several of the people there, it was like they were at a barbecue. It was not somber. It was really clear that I mean, there was a sense of camaraderie. I don't think that it has really sunk in for them how horrible what their people did to my people. I don't think it has for 2 seconds really registered. And it broke me completely, that lack of empathy. I started crying so hard and trying not to cry, because this is a courthouse, so you're supposed to hold it together, right? And I couldn't. This was the love of my life. That man loved me for 14 years. 14 years. That man was in my life. Do you think he's replaceable? That I can just go get I can start dating some other guy? No, there is no replacement for that. And for my kids too. I mean, these weren't his children. He didn't have to become Papa Bear. That was his term. 3 children that weren't biologically his, but they were his kids. Those were his babies. He loved them so much. I always said he'd take a bullet for those kids. That is literally the sentence that I always said, and it's so true. And it broke me to see people on that side laughing. Like, why would you do that? I don't know what joke was being told or what anecdote, what funny story. It is not so funny that you laugh in front of a grieving widow. And the only reason I'm not technically a widow is because we hadn't been able to get that taken care of yet. We were going to, first thing. You have no idea what it's like to be one day planning your wedding and the next trying to figure out what you're going to put in your loved one's obituary. That's the situation you put me in, Deunn Willis and Danielle Durand. That is what you did to me. And I had to see you there getting hugs and smiles. You know, I don't want to hear that no one in the family figured out who I was. This woman sitting outside, dressed in black, because that's the only color I wear now. I'm going to be wearing black for the next year as a sign of mourning and respect to the man that was killed, because he deserved that. That's how good of a man he was. I don't believe that not one of you recognized me from the newspaper and saw me crying there and shaking and couldn't figure it out. You should have toned down that levity, because all I could think was, thank God Josh's poor mom wasn't able at the last minute to make it up, because she's such a sensitive person. And to see what I saw, she'd have been crying probably twice as hard as I was. And another reason I know that somebody could have toned it down or told the rest of y'all to tone it down is because a man came up to me, saw me shaking, saw me crying, and he asked about me being okay, asked who I was, because obviously I was there because someone was murdered that was close to me. And lo and behold, you want to guess who he was? He was the prosecutor. So there's that butterfly effect. You guys making me cry with the lack of empathy displayed. The end result is that the prosecutor came up to me and he asked if I was okay, and he got me out of there. He got me upstairs to a grief counselor person or victim's advocate, and he talked to me and he asked me questions. And I'm so glad that happened, not just because he seemed like such a nice man, but because I found something out. See, I've been told to just sit back and grieve. I don't do that. I fight. I'm a fighter. It's one of the things that Josh admired about me. He loved strong women. I fight. And I was able to find out a very dirty little secret that law enforcement hadn't found out, and the media hadn't found out, and the prosecutor also, even the prosecutor hadn't found this out yet. But the fact that you guys had such little empathy for the grieving widow, you created a situation in which I met the prosecutor, and I was able to give him that dirty little information. It's going to probably get used in court because it's verifiable, like easily verifiable. And he didn't have it yet. So, I would advise the families to talk to the lawyers in this instance, because I'm pretty sure that the lawyers of Deunn Willis and Danielle Durand are not going to be glad that people were laughing, because if that hadn't happened, the information, which is going to be damning for one of their clients, wouldn't have gotten passed on that day to the prosecutor's office. So again, you may think that Josh was trash, and you may think that his grieving widow's tears don't mean anything. Heck, I looked Danielle Durand right in the face as she exited that courtroom. I saw no contrition in those eyes. I saw none. But the information that I found, a jury's going to be very interested in finding it out. And if you think that I'm done, no. Because you guys can't have just hurt Josh. There's no way you haven't hurt people before. And I was able to prove that. And I'm going to keep proving it. You will never know how much you hurt me, hurt our family. You can't know unless you lose someone like I have. Unless you are denied the man you love by sheer, senseless, homicidal cruelty that never needed to happen. You stole my wedding day. Josh was my Beshert. That's what I called him. Beshert means fate, destiny. That's what he was. He was half of my soul. He was my destiny. And by taking him away from me, Deunn Willis and Danielle Durand, what you did is you ensured that the two of you are what replaces him. Meaning, every person that you have hurt, you should now be afraid that I'm going to find them. Because those people deserve a voice. Josh can't speak for himself. You made sure of that. So I'm going to speak for him. But I'm also going to try and make sure that anyone that you hurt before him, they get a voice too. And I'm not doing any of this because I hate the two of you. I don't. You're not worth it. You're not worth that effort. I'm going to do everything that I'm going to do because I am passionately in love with Joshua Lee McCollister, because he was the kind of man that deserves everything I'm going to do for him, and because I truly believe in God. You can't truly believe in God without believing in the afterlife. And I know that everything I'm going to do, he's going to see. And he's going to feel fought for. And he's going to feel loved and respected. And that means everything to me. My God, did you hurt me? My God, did you ever? You know, I've had hundreds of people, hundreds of strangers ask me to do videos on YouTube or videos on TikTok, and I've never done it because I'm a private person and I don't like doing videos. But now I'm going to do a video every day until this is over. Every day, right to the end. Every single day.